Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. Welcome to 2024. And so this video is an offering of the energetic opportunities that I feel are abundant and bountiful at this moment for humanity, for our individual and collective healing, that I feel are very important to speak about on this evolutionary process. This is not going to be a generic, this is an 8 year, because 2024 reduces down to a number 8, and that's abundance and karma and sacred union. Those threads are all there, and there are other people and sources speaking about that. My job as an oracle, as a priestess, as someone that communes with the subtle realms, as a feminine channel, is to be able to go deeper into what I feel is available for humanity, the subtle whispers from the web that we are missing, because this, fear-based matrix is loud and it's harsh, and it often doesn't allow for us to sink into the subtle. But the thing is, the language of spirit, the language of the one, is subtle. The language of the heart is subtle. It requires us to soften, to slow down, to sink in. Not always possible for everyone, I appreciate, and so that's how I wish to serve in this video. Allow this to be a space where you take a moment to grab a tea or some cacao, to soften, to slow down. Let the words that I'm about to speak to you penetrate your heart space, so that you can start to sample what feels like truth, real truth, capital T, holy truth in your system again. That is the overarching sense of what I feel right now. It is this push from supreme consciousness for us to return to truth. Truth, which is being communicated and emanated in every moment of every day, but we are often too busy, too distracted. The world is often too noisy for us to be able to lean in and to listen. And often we get a sense of the truth as it's communicated to us through this heart, through this body, through our embodied knowing, and then we get really scared of that truth, and so we distract and we numb out and we avoid. We are entering the age of Aquarius. This is really marked by Pluto moving into Aquarius. Pluto being one of the outer planetary bodies that governs the soul territory. It's scorpionic, it's soul territory, it's depth, death, rebirth. Okay. Moving into Aquarius, this is like this is beyond a generational shift. This is a big shift for humanity. Aquarius is the sign. To me, it's the most. It's the highest mind. It is the observer, and it is a very pioneering, innovative sign and archetypal frequency. The invitation with the age of Aquarius and with Pluto moving into Aquarius is for us as a humanity to expand our vision for ourselves, for this world. It can be quite unsentimental as an Aquarius moon. I know this really well. This is an air sign. It can be quite unsentimental in how it views. It's almost a bit utilitarian, for the greater good. What changes need to happen for the greater good? Aquarius is concerned with truth, is concerned with pioneering in service to that truth. It's concerned with humanitarian issues, global issues, the wider landscape of what's happening. It takes the 30,000-foot view, looks at all of the components, and it's really good at being able to see what's going to serve the whole. Okay, so it's moving from the I to the we. It's really serving something bigger. With that can come casualties, can come sacrifice, can come changes that are not necessarily going to be comfortable for everyone, because we're serving something greater. So when I say that there is an opportunity right now to serve truth, this is what's happening now this year as we move into Pluto, the Pluto in Aquarius kind of energetic. It's not really a window, it's kind of more of an expanse of time, because it's going to last several hundred years. But this is a moment that is going to mark a very, very important shift for humanity. And so, truth. We are being asked to get really radically honest about our lives, about what we're serving, who we're serving. There's so much depth and so many layers to this, and I'm trying to assimilate how best to communicate this message in a way that's going to be helpful and concise. But at the core of us honoring truth, we must awaken to the fact that we have been born into, and our programming has been installed in such a way where we serve the false web of life, where we are plugged into the false web of life, the false web of connection. What we're being asked to do right now as a global population, as all expressions of the One, is to wake up to this truth that the fear-based matrix, which, you know, is a paradigm, it's an entire insidious system, parasitic energy that has been very consciously put in place here on planet Earth to siphon energy and to take us from the organic web and the organic source to the false web and the false source, to redirect our life force, so that instead of being in symbiosis with the earth and each other from a state of love and open-heartedness, we are actually now in a space of parasitic victim, perpetrator, colonizer, colonized. The harvester and the harvested is the what I was told in December as to speak about this, that we are caught in this web that extracts life force from us, the fear-based matrix, by, you know, demanding that we pay for the very things that are our birthright: food that is grown from the earth, shelter that is constructed from the materials of the earth. The very things that are our fucking birthright have been taken and are now being sold back to us. And the way we gain access to that is by working in the slave matrix on a hamster wheel for the bare minimum, living from scarcity. And even if you have material abundance, most people are still living from scarcity programming. That's how deep this runs. It's beyond materialism. Why? Because we've been disconnected and severed from the organic web of life. The matrix, the fear-based matrix, which is an insidious hot pot of patriarchy, colonialization, capitalism, consumerism, wounded masculine programming. We've been bored into that as the normality and also as the source. So what has occurred to me recently is that we have to wake up to the programming within us that still is invested in the gnosis, the wonky gnosis, that the matrix is our source and provider. This has been installed in us from birth. And it's carried through our ancestry, because this whole system has been in place for thousands of years. So the level of waking up that has to happen right now, it's deep, okay? We are waking up from a nightmare. We are waking up from a state of imprisonment, the imprisonment of our consciousness that is so deep-seated. It's genetic, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's all levels of our being have been captured by this false web. I feel right now my whole system at every layer is purging this programming, that I serve this matrix, that this is my source. Now, conceptually, I've known this for some time, right? I'm awake to what's going on this planet, as many of you are, but I'm realizing how deeply we have had our biology, our genetics, our emotional and spiritual mental systems distorted and eroded in such a way so that we, even at very unconscious levels, still serve and are enslaved by this matrix. It's time to wake up to the real organic web of life that is our true source. Now, this is multi-layered. The false matrix, the fear-based matrix, runs on the premise that it provides for you minimally with materiality, right? Material satiation. You know, look, if you carry on in the hamster wheel, you'll earn this money. Okay, with that money you can buy sugar and prostitutes and drugs and Netflix, and look, here's a carrot, you know, and we're going to keep dangling lots of carrots in front of you, and you'll get your dopamine hits from that, and you'll carry on, you know, chasing carrots. But there'll be a part of you that knows that that's not what you really want. That's not what your soul is asking to be satiated by. So most people are living that way, right? They are allowing their life force energy to be harvested by this false web, by working jobs they hate, by being in societal structures, familial structures, ways of being that go deeply against their organic and authentic nature, in favor of a paycheck, in favor of some material gratification. Okay, so this is what it means to sell your soul. It means that you are willing to, whether you're conscious of it or not, discard the authentic essence of who you are in favor of some semblance of connection or satisfaction. Okay, so you're denying your true source, your true nature, your true essence in favor of something false. So you're not honoring the truth. And that's felt by most people. Most people aren't conscious of it. They're numbing out, they're distracting, but it's felt. We're waking up to this now. You know, we're going through a mental health epidemic, as they say in the news. You know, it more and more in the work I do, it's clear to see more and more people are awakening in turmoil to the fact that they are caught in something and they have no fucking idea how to get out of it. Because this is masterful, the way this thing has been set up, the way that we've been entrenched in it, the way in which it operates. It's masterful. If it wasn't so sinister, I'd be impressed by just how insidious and how far-reaching, wide-reaching this programming and this system is. But there's a way. There is always a way back to the one, because nothing and no one is bigger than the love, the power, the presence of the I am, of God, of the true source. It's always there. It's available to everyone, even these people that are enforcing this agenda. They've just been so severed from the truth themselves that they're caught in their own matrix, and then enforcing that matrix on us. But the way back is through the heart, is through love, it's through awakening, it's through remembering that this false matrix is not our source. Okay? Your allegiance is not to this web, this false web that is extracting and harvesting your life force energy. Your true allegiance is to God, to your heart, to your soul. When you really understand the depths of this, you are going to have to make changes in your life that are going to go against the vast majority of what's playing out on the planet, the choices people are making, the expectations people have, the standards, the normalized ways of being. The planet, Gaia, the consciousness of Mother Earth, is calling to us to say, wake up. You have been severed from the true source. The true source at a planetary embodied level is our mother, the goddess that is Gaia. Okay, we've been severed from her, and if you imagine, I'm trying to find ways that I can explain this. If you imagine that we've got the earth, okay? She provides. And in an organic way of living, we live in harmony with her, not above her, not below her, not as her perpetrators. She is not a victim. We live in harmony with her as equals to the animal kingdom, to the plant kingdom, to the land. There is a symbiosis. She provides and we give back. There's a Hopi prophecy that I would really like to read at this moment because I feel that it speaks to this. And it says that when the women give their blood back to the earth, men will come home from war and the earth shall find peace. And what that's speaking to is a natural cycle and a natural state of symbiosis with the earth that's been severed. Before we created or we were born into these conditions of civilization, right, of materialism and capitalism, consumerism, we were living on the land. We were constructing our homes from natural resources. Women were bleeding on the land. We were giving our waste, what we consider waste, back to the land as fertilizer, as a source of life, of vitality for her. There was a cycle, there was a symbiosis that was established between us and our home and our planet. The false web and the agenda that's been installed on this planet has come in between the earth and us and has severed that connection deliberately, very, very, very deliberately, so that we feel rootless. We feel like motherless children. So much of the healing that humanity has to do is around the mother wound. It's the severing from the goddess consciousness, the feminine face of God, because we've been it's been instilled in our consciousness that there is a masculine God only, Father God, especially from Abrahamic religions. We have been severed from the land. We've been severed from our own feminine consciousness within, right? And that feminine principle of feeling, of fluidity, of softness, of slowness, of sensuality. So we have been very deliberately kind of entrapped in this false net, and the land and the feminine, the goddess, is calling us home to become whole again, to recognize that we are part of a wider web of life. The false web has you believing, and this is the kind of colonial programming, colonialization that has happened on the planet. It severs you from others, from a relational way of being. It severs you from the earth. It severs you from indigenous and earth wisdom. And it creates a state of hierarchy. So the big mirror for me with this has been what's been going on with Palestine, the genocide there, and the slaughtering of the indigenous people, the harvesting of the land. Because again, when you look at what's going on there, it's very political. It's very much in favor of this harvesting frequency, because there are resources there that are considered valuable to the powers in place, that and therefore there's no regard for life, there's no regard for the land, there's no regard for harmony, of course. It's purely that extractor frequency of, I have been severed from my own heart. And so from this state of disconnect, when a person or a being or a group of people are severed from the heart space and from the true source, from God, you're capable of anything. You're capable of anything. And from that space of disconnect, they, of course, can commit genocide and inhumanities that anyone with a heart open and eyes open can see the atrocity of that. And we can't possibly understand how these individuals can do this. And yet they do it because they are severed from their own source. And being severed from their own source, they then have to source life force, energy, vitality, a sense of aliveness from something. And they do it from a sense of false power and control. This is collapsing now. This false web is collapsing. Now, at the surface level, it may look like its grip is tightening, but actually it's only tightening because they're holding on more tightly to it. There is an awakening happening. The I am, supreme consciousness, is waking up to itself at a rate that can't be stopped by any faction or any agenda. And us as individuals deconstructing this colonizer, colonized, victim, perpetrator, harvested frequency within ourselves is absolutely essential to this being deconstructed on the planet. So I invite you to look at your own life really honestly and to see, where am I giving my power, my soul, my energy, vitality to things that diminish me, that don't enliven me, that I'm not impassioned about, that go against my authenticity. This can be in any situation: work, family, friendships, habits, where you live, what you do day to day, what you eat. It's like really looking at every single layer of your life and being and asking, am I honoring the highest truth? So there are going to be areas where you are having your energy extracted. This is very common, especially with work in the matrix. But then there's also going to be areas that, because you are living in a deficit, okay, you're having your life force extracted by the fear-based matrix, you need to source it from somewhere. So you're going to be extracting energy from others too. Everyone, no one is exempt from this. Okay, with awareness, we can refine this and we can begin to come back to wholeness and to the loving unified field. But it takes a shitload of work. Most people are still caught in even subtle layers of codependency and disharmony in the ways they source their energy. It takes a lot of diligence and a lot of mastery to come back to being self-sourced, to come back to being aligned with your own I am consciousness, to no longer need to feel disempowered enough to harvest energy from others in a way that's harmful to you or to them, or imbalanced, and to also, be in integrity enough to not give your power away, to come back to like the courage and the sovereignty that's required to say, you don't get access to this life, this body, to this presence anymore. I refuse to be a slave to this matrix. This is the level we're having to wake up to now. 2024 is asking us to wake up, really fucking wake up, and it's going to happen. There is something building that I feel, as someone that often kind of gets, I wouldn't say prophetic visions, but a sense as I feel into the ripples in the web. I'm getting a sense of it building, whatever this thing is going to be, this pop, this bang that's coming for humanity, whether it's, a global shift, catastrophe, change, many changes. I think all of those are going to be relevant. Natural disasters, or changes on the planet. Big shifts are coming for humanity, because big shifts are required for us to really, really begin the disillusion of the old. We can't build the new earth on these old templates and infrastructures that are fear-based, that are based on lack, that are based on being severed from the source of life, based from our earth mother and our heavenly father, God, I am's presence. We have been severed from the real, true, organic source of life. We've got to wake up to that. And it's so insidious and deep-seated. So when COVID was dawning on humanity, I was in India in 2019, at the end of 2019. Obviously, 2020, Feb onwards was when all of that started to emerge in global consciousness. At the end of 2019, I was getting a sense, and I was with my ex-partner at the time, traveling in India. I kept saying to him, something is coming and it's going to disrupt our plans, and it's going to be big. The way I sensed that was, in my third eye, I was seeing a storm, like an ocean, and then a storm brewing on the horizon coming over, like a really thick, heavy cloud of density. So that's interesting because that's air element, and it was it was concerning a virus. And so there was that kind of prophetic vision, which I didn't know the depths of. I didn't know what it was about, but I could feel it coming. I could feel it building. In the same way, right now, I'm feeling something very big building, but it's actually earthy. The way that I'm being shown it in my third eye is like the very fucking foundations of our lives are about to be turned up. The earth is going to shake. This is roots. This is the foundations. So we already have an awareness that the fiscal financial system, the fiat money banking system is going to disintegrate, transform, or in some way be shape-shifting during this time. We know that that's coming. That's inevitable. The current banking system is built on, again, more fallacies, more lies. It's not sustainable. So that's going to change. The way in which we exchange value on this planet is changing. That's huge. Of course, we've got big political changes coming, environmental changes, spiritual changes, and amongst all of this, there are such huge changes incoming. And it feels very earthy to me. It feels like maybe we will have earthquakes. The earth is a living consciousness. I've always felt since I was a child that if at any moment she wanted to, she could just eradicate all of us. She is not a victim, and I've been shown this so clearly in my own journeys. She is not a victim. She is not a victim that needs saving. We need saving. We're the ones that need to wake up. She's not reliant on us. We rely on her. She's been so patient with us as her children. But her patience is wearing thin, not because, not because she is a malevolent force that is judgmental like the Abrahamic God, or, fucking strike you down with a bolt of lightning. No, because balance and universal laws are not being honored. And so balance needs to be restored. We can either learn that the hard way and have our asses kicked, which I suspect will need to happen anyway, or we do it consciously. So, yes, truth, extracting our souls from the false web, a very big theme here this year. Reminding you that the matrix is not your source. I wrote down some notes because there's a lot. The word that came to me when I was tuning into 2024 was a renaissance. Renaissance means renewal, revival. And I feel this, a real deep sense of this is the revival is starting. The renaissance of and I'm talking about like it being kind of slowly starting to be disseminated through global consciousness. This renaissance, this awakening to deeper truth. It's starting to kind of like simmer in collective consciousness now. There have been pockets of it. We've had some movements. It's coming. This revival of our hearts that have been shut down and that we've been severed from. These hearts are coming back online. That's really what the Renaissance is. It's reviving our connection to the heart, to our individual and therefore collective heart center, to love, to the one, to the web, the unified field. These hearts are coming back online. We're having our hearts restored. Now, this isn't a process that happens to you. This is an active process. You must engage in yourself. You must choose. You must choose the way of love. You must choose the path of the heart. And many who are on this evolutionary path consciously are doing that. They're doing such hard work to come back to the heart, and that is having a profound impact on humanity. It's rippling out into the web. Never underestimate the power you hold as an individual to impact and influence the web positively, with love, from love. So Renaissance. This year is a Renaissance. We are recapturing our innocence, our purity. We are reviving our souls. Because most people, whether they want to admit it or not, are fucking sick of this current way of being. It doesn't satiate us. We want real connection. That was another thing I was shown in this journey in October I had with the mushroom spirits, that this online technology, this globalized way of being, of course it has its benefits, and I am immensely grateful for social media and the support it's provided me during my Kundalini awakening, but it's the false web of connection. What we deeply desire is real intimacy, real connection, community, tribe, connection to the earth, a vibratory connection where we feel each other, we are with each other, heart to heart. What this false web does as part of the false web matrix is it gives us a sense of connection, right? These online platforms, Zoom and WhatsApp and Telegram, they connect us, but it's a bit like fast food. You can eat as much as you like and you're never fully satisfied. You're not really getting the nutrients you desire. For some reason, you're always left hungry. You never quite feel satiated. Okay, it's not the true connection we're seeking. So this is another thing we must awaken to, that these are the false webs. Yes, they give to us, but they take a lot too. Okay, so we're actually being asked now to descend our connection to earthy, face-to-face, community-based ways of being. It's not to rely on this interface, this way of interfacing with others. We must return to organic connection. And so this is where the timelines diverge, you know, and I've spoken about this in other videos. The inorganic web, the false web, the fear-based matrix is driving us as a humanity towards the devolution timeline, right? Where we are hooked up to the AI grid, the false tree, the false web of life and knowledge, false God consciousness. The organic evolutionary timeline for humanity and for this planet is that we reconnect to God consciousness, to the I am, to the Akash, to the allness that we are, through the organic web, through the vibratory nature of life, which is always giving us information. We're always receiving and giving information, right? To come back to our full potentiality as a species, you know, which would look superhuman to the mundane and untrained eye. It's not superhuman. All of these abilities that are available to us, our psychic abilities, you know, our clairvoyance, our mediumship, our connection to the subtle realms, to spirit. This is all our truth that we've been severed from, and that it's been dubbed woo-woo, you know, and that feminine aspect of consciousness has been shut down and diminished. It's coming back online. So there is a renaissance happening this year, and I think that should really instill us with a lot of hope and faith, because this heart, this community, collective heart that beats for love, it's beating, whether they're, you know, the agenda perpetrators, whether they like it or not. This heart driven by God's love is beating. It always has, it always will. And that can't ever be stopped. It can't ever be overridden. So there are huge opportunities individually and collectively this year. With that in mind, talking about this renaissance and the revival of the heart, I want to speak about the need for greater authenticity. And I don't mean need from like as a directive, like you need to be more authentic. It's actually an embodied desire and need that's emerging in many of us now to start living from vulnerability and authenticity, to drop the performative ways of being, to drop the roles, to drop these identity structures that we've had to adopt to get by in this fear-based matrix. There is this deep longing to return to truth, as I said at the beginning of this video, the truth in our being, to stop these wishy-washy people-pleaser ways, these ways where we deny ourselves, where we betray ourselves, to come back to truth. Can we have the courage to honor the truth as God has seeded it in our hearts, and to not serve another person's idea, agenda, not to, you know, appease their egos, but to just honor, actually, no, this is what's true for me. And I love myself, and I love and serve God, the I am enough, to not bend my will anymore. We're being asked to be robust, to stop being these pliable, manipulatable beings, to come back to sovereignty, to come back to integrity, to instill in our consciousness a robustness of spirit, to know who we are. Because when you know, you don't bend to another being's will. Doesn't matter who that person is, whether it's your mother, father, the queen or king. No, you don't bend to anything or anyone. You know who your source and authority is. It's God. Eyes on God only. So this is where we are right now as a humanity. We must, if we are to survive, if we are to truly survive and thrive as a global community, there must be a reorientation back to the true source. And there must be a revival of the authentic self. We must start honoring what is authentic and true over any programming and stories and conditioned ways of being. It's not an easy thing to do in practice. You know, it does take courage. I don't want to be with this person anymore. I want a divorce. I don't want to work in this job anymore. It sucks the soul out of me. I don't want to live here anymore. It's cold and it's boring and it doesn't inspire me. I want to live a life creating art. I want to, I don't know, whatever truth is being spoken to you and emanated from your heart center, it's there. You've got to lean in and listen. The mind is going to have all sorts of stories and narratives about that's not possible, you're not worthy, you're not enough, you know, there isn't enough, the lack scarcity programming. It's going to kick up all of this resistance. Do you have the faith to trust the desires in your heart that were seeded by God? God's love and abundance is limitless. And I've seen, and I continue to see time and time again, that when we follow this, above this, miracles happen. And miracles are not actually abnormal, they're quite normal when we live connected to the web and to the one. The miraculous is actually just alignment in action. So really examining in your own experience where you're still performing, where you're still playing a role that jars on who you truly are, that's jarring to who you truly are, that grates on your being, that grates on your soul, that takes from you, that detracts life force from you. This is a big, big year. It's a big year, as all years are. Every single year has its medicine. 2023 was, whew, for so many of us, you know, it was a wild ride. 2024, for me, there is a sense of robustness in it. I can only speak from my own embodiment. Having just recently entered into a very profound connection, I'm going through a huge paradigm shift that I've been working on for many months, years, lifetimes. The actualization of deeper truth is coming into form for me. And all I will say to end this is that the heart knows the way. If you have the courage to really recognize that you are provided for, not by this false web. This false web and this false matrix doesn't give a shit about you. We should be really aware of that by now. Look at what's happening on the planet. Look at what's happening in Palestine. Where are our leaders? They don't give a fucking shit about the individual, about the humane. That's not their agenda. That's not their point of focus. They are locked into service to self-consciousness. They're severed from their heart. We can't expect positive, heart-led change from these beings who are so severed from the source, and we have to pray for their souls. They're so severed. We must be the mobilizers of the revival of the spiritual on the planet now. We must come back to being embodied as both divine and human, to not just knowing that as a concept, but feeling it and honoring it moment to moment. The heart knows the way. The heart is the bridge for this. It bridges the higher, more expanded states of awareness with the embodied and the earthly, masculine and feminine, coming back to union. At the end of 2023, sort of late November, early December, I landed in my inner union. It became embodied. This journey I've been on for so long became embodied. And right at the center, a light emerged that has not gone out. And it's what's conceived when our masculine and feminine poles, or the totality of our wholeness, comes together as one. It is that third thing, is creation. It is love. It is a love that is expanded, that is amplified, that is remembered, that has always been there. And it's right there in my heart. So if you really want to awaken to your allness, to come back, journey with your heart and ask God to take you to the very back of your heart. I'm going to have to make more content on this because it's been profound for me. The back of the heart is the God seat. It is an ancient space. Timeless even, and at the back of the heart lies the deepest truth and the most profound love that once you're reconnected to, nothing and no one can ever exceed that love and that truth. And once you're connected to that, you have a thread, a lifeline to your otherworldly courage, to your true nature that cannot be marred by anything in this material world, and therefore you're untouchable. And once you're connected to that, you are connected to your true power, and you have that kind of courage and will to enact the divine plan for yourself and humanity. So this is a real opportunity this year to examine truth. What is true for you? Really true, like about everything in your life. And how much are you denying truth? I actually invite you to get in your journal after this video and start writing down, what is the truth that is being communicated to me, emanated through the heart space, that is alive in my field? What is the truth? Look at your relationships, your work, your habits, everything. Just plainly state the truth, okay? Not with any stories. I don't love him, but, you know, we've been together 10 years. No. Forget the story. What's the truth? I don't love this being as a romantic partner anymore, you know? I don't want to be in this job anymore. I want to start writing this book. This book is ready to be birthed. Whatever it is, state the truth. Be honest with yourself. Take honest inventory for your soul. Yeah? And remember the true source. The last thing I will touch on, actually, there's always more with me, is we are shifting into more subtle levels of reality now. So this comes naturally with the feminine consciousness. The feminine operates in the subtle realms. The masculine kind of inhabits and is manifested in kind of gross material, you know, structure and whatever. The subtle realms are the feminine territory. These watery, kind of etheric realms and areas. This is the feminine territory. It's the way that this is received is energetic, it's vibrational. So those of us that are very sensitive, we've been connected to the subtle our whole lives, right? Everyone is connected to the subtle, but they're not always conscious of it. These subtle realms are speaking to us more and more and more. The web of life and all of the information that we're constantly giving and receiving, it's speaking to us. Okay? More and more and more. And so we're shifting, especially during the age of Aquarius, from a very gross, solid, dense way of experiencing reality. We're shifting now, you know, not just in our spiritual nature, but we're shifting this entire planet. These bodies are going through actual evolutionary shifts as we become less dense, as we raise our frequency. So we're kind of moving into this multi-dimensional space of being able to access multiple layers of reality simultaneously. You might experience this as psychically, as being able to be in one experience and have the awareness to see multiple timelines and how they might play out from that one now moment. This is very common for me now. So I'll be in a now moment, and the awareness of all the different threads and possibilities and potentialities will be in my awareness, and I'm very clearly being shown I can choose. I get to choose in each moment what I create, what timeline I embark on. This is where we're moving. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because those of us that are sensitive, we're being asked to lead the way in returning to the subtle realms, in returning to how we read and interpret the subtle realms, to teach our understanding of energy, of energetic mastery, of how we can use our sensitivity to benefit, you know, our evolutionary process, because the sensitivity is what allows us to tune into the subtle. So, you know, don't be alarmed or put out if you start having a shift in your states of consciousness where you're starting to feel things, access things, see things in different ways. The multidimensionality is really coming online now. And this is why, you know, no one can override what's happening. This process is happening with or without the consent of the fear-based matrix. That's why their efforts to poison the organic are becoming more and more, it's getting more intense. You know, they're turning up the 5G, they're turning up the harvesting of land so we can't grow organic crops. They're doing their absolute best, right, to keep consciousness limited and stifled. It's a futile attempt ultimately, but they're trying. And so with that, I'm going to end this video. So I'm wishing you an abundant and prosperous 2024. Keep your eyes on the prize. Stay connected to the truth. This will be what allows us to stay buoyant during these interesting times on Earth, we could say. I would love to hear how you're receiving 2024, what feels aligned for you, what your theme, intention, key, goal, ambition, spiritual, the spiritual invitation that you're feeling for yourself is. Feel free to share that. And I can't wait to connect with you more deeply. Lots of very exciting changes coming, lots being birthed and being gestated for me right now, as I am being called to expand and shift in radical ways, expansive ways. So I look forward to sharing all of that with you later this year. Sending so much love and so much gratitude for this community that's growing. And may we all seek to uplift and serve each other with love and compassion and with honesty and integrity. I'll see you in the next transmission. Take care.